bitches, every city in my tribe. Look behind. Booty dominate the world, peaches ripe.
Well, I mean, it's something you've heard 100,000 times. Like, the things they teach in school, obviously you need history and you do need basic math and you need to make sure they have a good understanding of English. But for when I got into high school, I kept sitting there, and that's more and more when I thought to myself, when am I ever going to use this? Because I walked out of high school and I had taken like 4 or 5 math classes, but I had no idea how to balance a checking account or how to get a mortgage if I want to buy a house or how to start doing taxes or how to, like, a lot of people struggle with things like how to talk to people. And if that was a class, I feel like it would 100% benefit us. And, think about like if we didn't take, think about if we didn't take mental health as seriously as we do now, because people are starting to get more and more aware that this is becoming a problem. And that's something I hear on a lot of school board panels. This is something we need to take a lot more seriously. I don't feel like kids would be better off if we weren't at that stage where we were like, this is a conversation we need to have.
No, I see what you mean, Sam. It's a very almost like product line of school that they are conditioning you to be a product that goes into the market.
The corporation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the structure that I'm talking about needing to break down. Because the reality is the automation and technology advancement, the pace of that advancement is so fast that the ability for the trailing end of the population, myself and maybe even including you guys, to work and make a living is going to decrease dramatically. Like we don't need as many people because we've automated everything. Society needs to figure out, how are you going to distribute income? How are you going to distribute revenue that's different before? And they need to have a think tank, and they need to talk about it, and they need to plan for it. And because it's a reality, we're going to have way more people than jobs in the very near future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I brought that up in a lot of discussions with people when they talk about like governing systems and economics. That technology is not good for capitalism. It's good for humanity because it is freeing us from certain labor. But like you said, a lot of entry and mid-level jobs are disappearing. And then if you look at some of the richest companies in America, they're ones that essentially just have computers raking in money.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I'm not like,
right.
When I talk about the fact that, because I'm for the distribution of wealth, but when I talk about like, I feel like we should tax the rich a lot more. What people misunderstand is I'm not saying that people can't be rich. Jeff Bezos he owns literally one of the most profitable companies in the world. The man's earned himself a yacht or two. What I'm saying is like, the fact that he's paying less in taxes than like your average medium family income, then it's just, to me, this is a problem. And this is something that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Well, I feel he's gotten there because he exploits his workers.
Well, yeah, that's another conversation.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel you can be a billionaire without some level of exploitation. And, and that's what a lot of, I feel, our generation is talking about, is owning rights to work, to your labor, I should say, not rights to work, rights to your labor.
Yeah, the cost of that obliviousness is astronomical of his.
Yeah. Well, it's just, at the end of the day, there really is no changing some people's mind. Like, let's say, like, this is like a conversation mostly around like whether.
Let me just jump in real quick, because I want to jump on the front side of this thought that you're having.
Go ahead.
Back in the old days, when I was in college, and I'm an economist, so I've taken economics classes. There was this thing called capital formation, right? And so different economists have different theories about different things. But I had an economist that believed that capital formation was the predictor of the economic health of the country. And capital formation came from taking stuff out of the ground, ore and gold and copper, and we're rich in those types of minerals. And that is what was capital formation. And at that time in the early 80s, this economics professor could not, he had a very difficult time that we were selling all of our mines to other countries and so on and so forth, and we were not going to have capital formation. Well, what he didn't understand is the technology boom. So you guys came up with a completely different form of generating capital through technology and services, where we used to get it out of the ground, right? And that's important to recognize and understand that you're surfing on a different part of the ocean.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's just the thing that kind of bothers me the most about like the state of this country is that so many people, like, their mind's just made up. Like, there's nothing like, and what I was going to say was like, you know, we're talking about the fact that that abortion is healthcare. You know, there are some people who are pro-lifers. There is nothing we can say that is going to change their mind. Like, there is absolutely nothing we can say that's going to sway them in the other direction. It's just their mind is made up and everyone against them is wrong. And the thing I always
I agree, but look at the generational shifts that have occurred from Sam's generation to even the generation below me when it comes to women rights, mental health, gay rights, trans rights. Like, the younger generation are a very different mentality and what the meaning of life is than I feel the boomer generation. And I was raised by boomers, so maybe I'm biased.
Yeah. And I always try to go into conversations with an open mind. It's just, for the majority of times, I haven't heard anything to sway me. It's not that I'm closed-minded at the end of the day, but I do try to keep an open mind in things. Also, just wanted to say, Sam, I don't know if you've been watching the chat, but people love what you're saying, man.
Oh, I haven't looked. Oh, yeah. Cool.
You have a great radio voice, too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
no
thank
kidding.
you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I'm very passionate about exposing the ridiculousness of some acts, which are plentiful, and then I'm passionate about making sure people understand you can get help. You know, we talk about taxes all the time, right? Everyone talks about taxes, like, oh, I don't want to pay more taxes, Social Security, this, that, the other thing. Let's talk about the world in the life of a dollar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the banking system has literally figured out a way to get 30% of that dollar as you perform transactions around the economy.
Right.
And no one's paying attention to it.
Is that through like interest and fees?
That's through fees and interest and undisclosed charges, and pricing.
And then would you say also like money creation?
So, well, I was talking capital formation before, but
okay, because I know like when I deposit $1,000 into a bank, the bank can essentially leverage that to loan out like $3,000.
Well, no, it's the other way around. They can lend out about 700 of it. There's a thing called reserves, so the bank has to have a certain level of reserves in order to lend it out. So about 60 to percent of the money that they take in, they can lend out. But I'm talking about the fees. So let's talk about somebody who doesn't make very much money. Let's talk about a single mom or a single dad that's just barely making it go, and they go to a Starbucks to get a cup of coffee because they thought that they had $5 left in their account, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, now we
can
can.
hear.
My headphones just died.
Oh, bummer.
So she goes to that Starbucks and she buys a cup of coffee. Well, there's a computer system on the other side at the bank that says, oh, she just bought a cup of coffee and she doesn't have enough money in her bank. But let's see, here's this mortgage check that she wrote or rent check that she wrote. We'll pay that. And then we'll bounce these 5 other charges so that we can maximize our fee income to the bank. And what I want,
for sure.
yeah, and what I want people to understand is that the banking, the consumer financial system is taking 30% of every dollar, and the poorer you are, the higher the percentages. Let's talk about payday loans as an example. You know, it's just ridiculous.
Well, yeah, and I mean, the fees from lower income pay the interest on CDs of the rich.
Yeah.
That's right.
But I'm sorry, guys. I have to cut you off here. I have an appointment at 2 and I have to get ready for it. But I did give both of you a follow. Thank you so much for joining, and you're welcome on here anytime.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure.
Sam, thanks so much for talking. Your words are,
thank you so much.
Yeah, your words are
No, thank you, Sam. Like, people always ask me why I do these debates, and I have never had more meaningful conversations and found more meaningful relationships on any social media than TikTok. So that's why I do these. Thank you so much.
I'm so fucking cute, bitch. I'm so fucking cute.